Nehha, welcome to Tasty Humans. Thank you so much for coming along. For everybody watching this, please introduce yourself and what do you do?
Thank you, Sam, for having me. Sam and Iman, actually.
Straight away.
Who's
out
at the
there.
back?
That's it.
Who's at the back here?
Fourth wall broken. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me. And this is such a beautiful studio, to be honest. This is going to be a really cool show. My name is Nehha. I am the owner of Magnetique Marketing, which is a marketing agency based in Dubai. And we focus mainly on fractional marketing services and on LinkedIn. Yeah.
So let me ask you straight away, because Tasty Humans is very much about the past, the present, and a bit of the future. So about your past, how did all this start for you?
To be honest, it just started off as an experiment. All I wanted to do was be a digital nomad and travel the world. So I was like, how is this going to happen now? But it was a series of events which took place. It started off by trying to prove my boss that the kind of marketing he was doing was not working, was the old school way of doing things. And then it kind of built up from there. And which took me to traveling the world, proving my boss wrong, starting as a solopreneur, and now having my own agency, which I actually didn't think or dream that would happen. But it's just a whole journey that took place.
So what marketing was your old boss doing? Because I think, as we were speaking beforehand, I think what's really interesting for me with this topic at the moment is how much it's changing.
Yeah.
You said old school marketing, so...
He always pushed the company first as opposed to pushing himself first.
Okay.
And I found that was so strange because he was a really smart man, really eloquent and talking. And I said, why doesn't he promote himself? As opposed to promoting the company. And I said, this is just so wrong. And I said, I tried to, tell him that this is old school, this is not going to work. And at some point, I got so frustrated and I said, you know what? I'm just going to try it on myself. And so began the journey. So I did close to 60 events the year before I started Magnetique Marketing. I started posting consistently on LinkedIn once a week. And I just started putting myself out there. And what I saw was these barrage of opportunities that were coming my way. So I had people approach me, networking events saying, oh, you're the LinkedIn girl. I was like, it's just one post a week. I'm on everybody's radar. And then people messaging me saying, oh, are you taking on freelance work? Are you taking on freelance projects? So here I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, going to the gym, going to work, finishing work, going to a networking event. And then over the weekends, I was just working on my side hustle. So
how long ago was this?
This was 2023 or 2022. Yeah.
Okay, so still quite recently.
Very recent.
I wanted to ask, when you were suggesting to your boss that he, correct?
Yes, it was he.
We're not going to name any names. Don't worry, you're in the clear. Do you know what I mean? But when you were suggesting that he starts to promote himself over the company, what was his reaction?
He wasn't game at all. He just didn't fancy it. So,
did you feel that he was like a shy individual, or he didn't really believe in social media that much, or he was just too old school to understand personal branding, as they say?
I think he just did not realize the power of personal branding and the power of LinkedIn. And to be honest, LinkedIn came about just as an accident. I never thought that one day I'm going to start this agency and, specialize in LinkedIn solely. So there are thousands of agencies in Dubai, but I only focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn company pages, LinkedIn personal branding. I spend a lot of time during the day on LinkedIn. So anyway, getting back to your conversation, I just didn't think he realized the value of social media, particularly LinkedIn. Well, it was B2B, so.
Has he realized now?
Well, if you're watching me, this is your cue to trust the marketing manager.
Fantastic. So don't worry, we'll leave you alone now. Whoever you are, we'll leave you alone. But so how difficult was it for you to start?
Not difficult at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm very surprised myself. Every day I have to pinch myself. And when I talk to people and I tell them that my agency is 100% on inbound and referrals, I don't do any outreach at all so far. And I've grown very quickly, even with that approach. So not at all. It's just been, the only problem that I face is as a new entrepreneur, you don't really know how to scale, right? Mm-hmm. You need to have systems, processes, teams in place, because if you scale too quickly, it comes with its own set of problems. Mm-hmm. And trust me on this one.
And what are they?
Like you're not able to service the clients as you could have. The platforms that you use, you have to choose which platforms that you use. The retention rate could be reduced. So there are like a number of, and burnout. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing as well.
Have you burnt out?
Yes.
How did that sort of manifest?
See, I really believe there's no work-life balance. If you really want to have success, you need to go all in.
See, that's a very interesting statement, because when we think about the young generation coming through, I mean, I'm 48 years old, so almost everyone's young compared to me, but they're always talking about work-life balance. And then on the other side of the coin, they all want to be entrepreneurs as well. So how do you think that is going to, or does?
There is no such thing. And to be very honest, when I first started off, this is what I wanted to do: travel the world, be a digital nomad. And, I'm going to go sightseeing over the weekends, and I'm, going to work just 8 hours a day, and I'm going to be in Bali and Thailand. It's going to be so good. Mm-hmm. Actually, just the opposite. I've not had a single weekend off since July. So there is no work-life balance. And
what's causing that? Is that the clients themselves, or is that you?
It's just the number of inquiries I get every single day. Again, like I said, it's 100% inbound. It's 100% referrals. And I don't want to scale so quickly. And it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's a great problem to have. But then again, I feel that, being an entrepreneur is a journey. You got to pace yourself and enjoy the process. But if you're working every single day, I'm not meeting my friends, I don't do anything. I just go to the gym, come back, work. Go to the gym, come back, work. I haven't seen my parents in a whole year. I don't meet my friends. I don't go out anywhere. I don't do anything. So, but it's
and you're smiling while you're saying this. Yeah, I don't do anything.
Because it's been incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint-hearted, and it's not for the weak.
So you do, like I said, you establish a lot of people's LinkedIn profiles and pages. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what is the process in doing something like that? Where are you right and everyone else is wrong? That's a good way to say it.
Consistency.
Yeah.
People think that they can just, optimize their profile or like have one post a month and it's just going to work for them. It's a lot of work. LinkedIn is a lot of work. It's consistency, it's community engagement, it's adding connections, it's building your community. And if there's somebody who knows about building communities, it'd be you. Is this the 51st podcast or?
This is the 51st episode.
Yeah. So
thank you for that.
Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. It's not about me.
A little bit.
But so how do people stand out on LinkedIn? What are the sort of key drivers for this?
I mean, first of all, the profile, of course, has to be optimized. You can't have a profile picture with, your granny or with a drink in a hand, or, you have to have something which is professional. Your banner has to be optimized, your about section, just the basics, and you have to look a certain way, not like you looked 10 years ago, Sometimes
people do that, don't they?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see people on their LinkedIn, and when I see them in real life, are you the same person? Really?
I don't get it.
Like-
I know I can't say his name, right? But I will say he's been on the podcast, right? He's going to know who he is when I say this. But his let's say profile picture is easily 10 years, easily might even be 15. And then when you actually meet him, you're like, no, you are much, much older. You know?
Yeah.
Why do you think people do that?
I just think they're lazy.
You think it's laziness?
Yeah, I just think they're lazy to not change that profile picture. They just don't give a damn. When somebody just doesn't give a damn about how they look, maybe they're lazy or maybe they just don't care.
But like I say, when it comes to people's, you see this, I don't think how to word this. This is what I was alluding to with this conversation, our pre-conversation, which is, it's the fact that people seem to not understand the current framework of marketing and personal branding. And I'm not saying I understand it, but I think that there is a big disconnect between what people want and what they have to do to get it. Would you agree with that?
Up 100%. Same as entrepreneurship.
What would be one of the biggest things for you to sort of say to somebody to answer that question?
Entrepreneurship or LinkedIn?
Anything. Take your pick.
I'd like to talk about entrepreneurship as a new entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly tough, and unless you just want to coast along or not want to scale, you should not be taking it up. I'm very lucky because I don't have children, but if I was married and I did have children, then I don't think I could have done this or scaled so quickly as I did right now, or had the level of service that I do right now, because most of my clients have been with me since I started the agency. So that's something I'm incredibly proud of.
How crazy are your clients?
Well, they're wonderful. But I feel that when you're a thought leader, it comes with a bit of, you can't be a normal person and, be a thought leader. You need to have some kind of drive. You need to have some kind of opinion, which some people would say could be a little, I wouldn't say crazy, but eccentric.
Okay. And do you deal with a lot of thought leaders?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of thought leaders, small agency owners, big agency owners, depends, yeah.
And what do they have things in common, or are they all very, very different people?
They all are very different people. And you just see, when I deal with them, I could just see how they would be as CEOs in their own companies. Some of them are very poor in communication. And that just makes me think, if you're so poor in communication, how would you manage a whole company? And some are just so organized and they just know, the next steps. With my help, they can get there even quicker. So they're just all kinds of people and all kinds of leadership styles.
When you're trying to help them, do they take your advice well, or your strategy well, or do you find that you're not fighting with them, but there's a lot of pushback?
Again, depends on the kind of CEO or entrepreneur they are. Some people do push back, and I've just learned to push back myself.
Okay.
Because, why are you working with me if you don't trust me, right? You can be, a CEO for 10 years, but you know nothing about LinkedIn, and that clearly reflects. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't you trust me? And there's some people who again are, they trust me, and for them, they have scaled so quickly on LinkedIn.
This is what I was alluding to about how people know what they want but don't know what they need to do to get it. And then I've done this before as an operator, where you engage a marketing agency, and then you find yourself telling them what to do.
This is a very common problem.
And then they keep saying, no, it needs to be like this, and you're pushing back, but then you don't know. I've learned over the years that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Iman could attest to that, but I don't know what I'm talking about. There you go. There's probably a lot of people that are going to watch this and go, finally, he said it. You know what I mean?
Trust me, most people don't know what they're doing at all. They're just winging it. Really,
Brilliant.
they are. You'd be surprised.
But so how do you, like I say, how difficult is it to deal with that? You know, and what do you do to push back against the pushback? You know, how do you manage those people?
You just have to have like grit, I would say. Just, you know, shameless grit, I would say. Just be like, listen, I know what I'm doing. This has worked. I've helped hundreds of people with their LinkedIn. So this is what's going to work. Take it or leave it.
And is there common threads to what people push back about? Does that make sense? Are you so? Do they have a big issue with how you think they should be portraying themselves?
Yes.
So how does that break down?
Yes, because the way you represent yourself is very personal. It's called personal branding. You know, the content that you have, it has to be your voice, your tone, and it takes a lot of work from our side to put that in. So it means a lot of like strategy calls, a lot of content calls. You know, I need to know everything about like what you're doing. Like, are you married? Do you have children? Do you like dogs? Where are you going on your weekends? You know, how comfortable are you in front of the camera? There's so many elements to writing content for a person. Like I go deep into knowing them before I can actually write for them.
So how, like I say, you said 4 things that you asked them, but what is the true breadth of how deep you go?
Some people just push back. They don't want, you know, they just want to be there. Some people just say, I will write the skeleton post and I will send it to you and you format it, which I'm okay with as well, because maybe, you know, they don't trust me. Maybe I don't know, people are strange. So
They certainly are.
so yeah, like there are different kinds of ways people deal, you know, with their content on LinkedIn.
I mean, do you find that people want to put, so you see somebody in a certain way. So you will say that they're married, they like dogs, they like this, they like that. So you'll go and say, right, this is what I think your bio should be. And they go, what are you kidding me? Do you know what I mean? I'm a this and I'm a that and I need to be in beast mode and it needs to say I wake up at 5 a.m. Like, do you get a lot of things where you're giving them what's going to work and they're like, that's not how I want to be perceived? Like you get...
Not all the time, but yes. Sometimes I do, especially when it comes to images and pictures, because that's one of the big prerequisites. And I say, we're just not doing text. We're going to have pictures. So they're so careful, or they just kind of push back. Oh no, I don't want to like put my picture, or is it necessary for me to put my picture? But I don't like this and I don't like that. You know, they just are so held back on that. So that's a big problem.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I read your LinkedIn post yourself about, I can't recite all of it, it was quite big.
Yeah.
But it was to do with how you had decided to just exit a lot of clients. I think you used the term, I fired all my clients.
Yeah, well, not all. Yes, I did fire some clients. Yes, I did.
I mean, what was it that drove you to this point with certain of these clients?
I work with people only if I know I can get them results. I'm very picky and choosy who I work with. So that's why I don't want to, scale to, servicing 100 clients, because I know when I meet somebody, I can instantly tell if, we'd be a good fit or we won't be a good fit. So sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially when we're starting out, we make mistakes, right? We say yes to everything. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. But after a while, you kind of see that that's actually backfiring against you and it's not getting out the best in you. It's not helping you shine your light as it should be. So then you take steps to rectify that. Okay, how can I fix it? How can I fix that? Or what are the clients that I actually want to work with and who I can really help scale their brands, their businesses? So I've had to, do a little bit of spring cleaning.
How do clients take the news? Because I think in my career, I think I've told only 3 agencies, we're not going to continue with you, but no one's ever dumped like me or the company I've been working for as a client. But how do they take the news when you just say, look, enough?
I'm a little diplomatic with that. It's like, I'm raising my prices.
Okay. So you price them out.
Price them out mostly. Yeah.
Okay. When it comes, we live in a city of Dubai where there is a lot of fake and there's a lot of real. How do you sort of manage between the fake and the real, like the authenticity and the fake, basically, when it comes to clients and people?
So, I mean, when it comes to clients, I tell them, and remember our conversation earlier, you have to be your authentic self offline and online. You just can't be a completely different person offline because people see through that.
Yeah.
You can't, energy doesn't lie.
And so, like I say, when you're dealing with clients that have this, how do they take that news? How do they develop their sort of online, offline personas? Like I said, I just think I've worked with so many people in the city where I just think, you're one thing online, you're one thing offline.
Yeah.
But how do you assist people in bridging that gap?
Most of the clients that I work with, they know what, because they're business owners and entrepreneurs and, C-suite, they already know what kind of image would serve them right, which is, offline and online has to be consistent. So I don't really have a problem with that.
Well, fantastic.
Yeah. One area I don't have a problem with.
One area you don't have a problem with. So you specifically work with LinkedIn. Do you advise on any of the other platforms?
No.
Why not?
I just think it to scale, to really provide value, it has to be one message, one platform, one audience.
Okay. Yeah. And so you won't, you would, so like I say, do your clients come to you but say they want to be on the other platforms? They
are on other platforms as well. A lot of them are on Instagram and they're big influencers on Instagram, but they come to me because they have no clue about LinkedIn. So because they're like 100,000 something followers on, on Instagram, when it comes to LinkedIn, they're just like on 1,000, and that's where I can help them scale, right? Because it's a completely different platform. And they get so happy because the kind of work that they get. So the clients that come to me for LinkedIn also, it's not about the metrics or likes or impressions. It's more about the conversations that they want going. It's more about the collaborations that they want. It's the opportunities that come to them. The PR pieces, people approaching them for podcasts. It's not so much about like how Instagram is. When you do collaborations and it's more paid.
Yeah, they're very, very different.
Completely different platforms.
Interesting. Okay, look, I want to sort of ask you some other stuff about more to do with you.
Yeah, okay.
You've traveled a lot.
A lot.
Where does your desire to travel come from?
I was born a third culture kid, which means I've moved a lot. I've had a lot of influences. I grew up in Saudi, then I moved to Milan, then I moved to Singapore, and then back to Dubai. So not just traveling, but I've lived in different cities, worked with so many different companies. So
was this when you were younger, or?
Yeah, when I was younger.
How much younger? Did you travel a lot as a child? Did your parents travel? Were you in and out?
I did not travel a lot as a child, but I did. I think I started traveling when I moved to Milan, which is around when I was 25 or 26 years old. And when I moved to Milan, I studied fashion and I worked for a haute couture house by the name of Gattinoni. And that's when it opened a whole new world for me of like creativity, design, travel, luxury. And I was like, wow, there's so much to do here.
Was fashion your first love?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
In what sort of, what did you want to sort of, what were you studying? What did you want to do?
Fashion marketing and management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so Milan, Saudi, is that it or further afield?
Singapore, Milan's. I've lived and worked in Saudi, of course. I grew up there.
Yeah.
My parents were based in Saudi. Milan, I finished my degree and I worked there. And Singapore was a shorter stint, when I worked there as well.
How do you view Saudi at the moment? Not politically,
Yeah.
Just in their growth into the global sort of landscape with all the amazing events they're doing.
Incredible. I mean, I lived in Saudi when women couldn't drive, when there were no theaters, when you couldn't try on clothes at the mall. So it was a completely different
That's quite crazy, isn't
Saudi than to what it is now. So
it's amazing what they're doing.
oh, absolutely.
I think that they're coming a long way very, very, very quickly.
Saudi has a special place in my heart, for sure.
And so, let's say in Dubai, what's coming up for you? What's the next 5 years looking like for you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because you've scaled a business very, very quickly.
Very quickly,
and,
yes.
You've spoken about not having tons of free time and stuff like this.
Yes.
What are you sort of trying to lock in?
I would say more thought leadership, more workshops. I just really want to educate people on the new way of marketing, that it actually can help them. Employer branding, more podcasts, more publications, more events. I love those. I did 60 of them the year before last. And I also want to help companies get into, make it easier for them to navigate the Dubai landscape, because I do get a lot of inquiries from people who want to come to Dubai and like, what is it like being here? And I feel there's immense opportunity here. It's a gold mine. If you're an entrepreneur and if you want to hustle, this city is just the best place on the planet to do it.
So where do you think the future of marketing is going? Like you say, like podcasts and networking and everything, but do you look at social media, AI, stuff like this? Where do you think we're all going to end up in business?
It depends on how you're...
It's a broad question, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, it's the buzzword of the now, isn't it? Where it's AI is something that's being incorporated into everything. Everyone's using it to write images, everything. Do you think it's going to help us, or do you think it's going to be a...
It is helping us. But people are just under the misconception saying AI is going to replace us. No, it can't. It absolutely can't. People think that they can just go to ChatGPT and write their posts. It doesn't work.
In what way? Why do you... Because everyone's doing it.
They are doing it, but they're not getting the results that they want. Yes, ChatGPT and AI can help, but only as a guiding tool. But it should not be. ChatGPT does not know you as a person and what's in your head.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's this human element.
Well, ChatGPT doesn't know that it's wrong. I think I heard somebody say once, which I thought was a really interesting comment.
I mean, I just feel that the posts that are written by humans are just very different than ChatGPT.
Do you think it'll ever come back to it? In the sense of where I always have this, kind of thing where I think we're going to figure it out as human beings, where we're going to start to really know that what we're looking at is not real. And I think I said this to somebody before on a podcast, where right now there's Zoom and you don't travel anymore, and you don't travel for business because why not? You're right there on a screen. And then, but then with the way that AI can infiltrate and scamming and everything like this, then you can end up in a situation where the minute somebody gets scammed, massively by a fake voice, by a fake image, then they're going to want the person in the room in front of them, you know, in order to do business with them.
Yeah.
And hence we've almost come full circle.
Yeah.
You know?
I just feel that we're humans and the human element will always be important, period.
Yeah, 100%. As a marketer, right, I like asking this with personal brands. Who do you think has great personal brands globally?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. You want me to take
Yeah,
me?
yeah, I do. Yeah. This podcast is about you and what you think. So I like because again, I've spoke to a number of marketing people on here, and again, I like to know what you like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who do you look at brand wise globally, and you're like, yeah, they've smashed it. Do you know what
there's so many, like Alex Hormozi, there's Gary Vaynerchuk, there's Ryan Serhant. Top of my mind, I would say like Ryan Serhant. I think he's really brilliant in what he does.
Who's he? I don't know if I've heard
He's
of him.
Have you seen what is it called? Selling Manhattan? Was it? He's a real estate agent.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just feel deep respect for people who realize the power of social media. It's free.
Yeah.
You know, anybody can build and scale.
No, 100%.
Like anybody.
I like the way you say it so easily, you know, where so many people try, but they struggle with it.
Yeah, because people give up very easily. That's the sad part of it. You have to keep trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing some more.
Did you ever try to give up? Did it ever occur to you, you know?
Yes, I did actually. Yes. I actually started a business during COVID for health coaching. That's where my love for social media came through. And I was posting on Instagram and I was trying to get my, business off the ground, and it failed miserably. But what happened, like with that, was a lot of agencies, because it was COVID and it was Abu Dhabi, there, you couldn't have like people fly in, from anywhere else. So a lot of agencies started approaching me. It's like, okay, you're doing social media, etc. Can you come help us out? And so started my journey in social media marketing. It was Instagram then. I wasn't very good at it. So.
No, why not? What were you doing?
Posting videos of myself, and I just didn't think that the platform was my style. It didn't like really suit me. But when it came to LinkedIn, the minute I started posting on LinkedIn and helping other companies post on LinkedIn, it was just so good.
Do you have your own Instagram account?
I do have an Instagram account.
Can I ask?
It's not very good.
Can I ask how many followers you?
I think 5,700 or.
And what have you got on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn, I reached 17,000 now.
Because I wanted to ask, because you favor LinkedIn?
Yes, I do.
Sort of, I could ask you a deep question. Like, psychologically, do you prefer talking about work and everything to do with work and business than to be on Instagram possibly talking about yourself? Because that's how I see these two platforms, where you won't post a picture on LinkedIn of you on holiday, but on Instagram you will. Do you know?
I actually post on LinkedIn but you can see, if you scroll through my LinkedIn, you'll see okay, this girl is in Bali, or this girl is in Hawaii, or this, the picture is there, but the post, of course, like.
But it's business driven.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Is do you have more like do you just find more easier to sort of promote yourself or talk about yourself in a business world than in a lifestyle world?
I would say I like to add value.
Okay.
And build my community.
Okay, fair enough. All right. There is that. When you decided to do health coaching, what was it that triggered you to want to be a health coach? Was it COVID, or is that something you've always been pretty interested in?
I've always had I was a fat child when I was growing up. And then along the years, I actually embraced a very disciplined lifestyle. And that's helped me, I would say, even launch this business, because I'm incredibly disciplined. I hit the gym 5 times a week. I meditate. I supplement. I eat a healthy diet. Yeah. All of it.
What was it so when you say you were a fat child, like, I don't know, is it politically correct to say how fat? No, but as in, did you lose like a lot of
I
weight.
did lose a lot of weight. I discovered my love for the gym, working out, and I really transformed. And people saw me and were like, wow, how did you do it? Like, what was it? You know, and then I discovered CrossFit during, that was around COVID time, yeah.
Oh, you were doing CrossFit?
I do CrossFit.
CrossFit's mental.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
And was that one of the first things you did in the gym? Did you just go straight for the CrossFit?
Oh, no.
For years, you built up to it slowly?
Oh, no. For years, I was experimenting with a lot of different things, like a lot of aerobic classes, just the treadmill, and all the rest of it. But I feel my body really changed and my mindset really changed when I discovered CrossFit.
Why is that?
It's because it's a team sport, it's a community sport, and it's a lot to do with mental capabilities.
Mm-hmm. But they say that the gym is more in the mind than it is the body.
It is.
Because I go to the gym, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You know, I need to go more. But it's definitely something that I use mentally, probably more than physically. You know, it's that being able to actually get up and actually go.
Absolutely.
Because most of the time in the morning, the body is saying, stay on the couch.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been doing this for years. I remember when I had my corporate job, I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, you know, so just so that I could do the gym before I go to work and just, you know, do my entire morning routine. The mornings, I'm very fierce about protecting them for me. So the morning time between 4:30, 4:45 to, let's say, 8:30 is my time.
And what is your morning routine?
So it's going to the gym, it's meditating, it's gratitude journaling. So, yeah.
How do you find gratitude journaling? When did you start doing it?
A few years ago, and believe it or not, I've manifested pretty much everything that I've been grateful for.
Okay. No, I find that because I tried it. You know, because it is quite buzzwordy.
Yeah.
So the morning routine is buzzwordy, and it's like start the day with gratitude and everything like this. And I think that you can wake up every day and go, right, what am I grateful for?
Yeah.
You know? And I think, I don't know, after about 5 days, I think I found myself saying the same things.
Yeah.
You know, but then I stopped. But is that part of this process where did you find yourself saying the same stuff, or? Is it always something different? Do you always find something different to be grateful about?
It is something different because every day is different. So it's not just like gratitude, but it's my goals for the day. It's what I want to achieve. Because I feel that when you write down something, it really imprints in your mind. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer in manifestation. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned meditating.
Yes.
Right. How easy is it to meditate? You look at me like I'm crazy. And I tell you what, I appreciate that look. And I tell you why, because my mind like wanders at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And to even try to fixate on one thing, like, do you find it a simple process to do, or? I've
been meditating since 2011.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, this conversation's really fascinating, and I've, you know, I love talking to people like yourself about building businesses and scaling and everything like that. I wanted to ask, as I do with everybody on here, like, what are the top 3 things that you want to leave on this podcast for people that watch, for people to follow and stuff like this?
I would say have courage, because a lot of people don't have courage to follow their dreams and to do the things that they really want to do. You know, some people are like, oh, I want to go to Machu Picchu, and then they wait until they can't anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, my parents were an example of that. So have the courage to really follow on your dreams. It's never too late. And this is something I really believe in, because society has a thing of saying, oh, you got to be married by 25 and then you got to buy a house and have children. And everybody has their own timelines, you know.
Were you trying to follow that and then you realized?
No, actually, I never did. I always made my own rules. That's why I say you should always have the courage to follow your dreams, no matter how big or scary they might be. And to be honest, if your dreams sound scary, then there's something wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people get stuck into this pattern of life, you know. Yeah, and then I got married, then I bought a house, then I had this career like for like 20 years, and I never did what I wanted to do. I don't know, be a magician or or start my own podcast, or you know, things
Yes.
like that. It takes a lot of balls, but you just got to do it.
That's also true.
It takes a lot of courage and a lot of sacrifices as well. Not just financially. I mean, sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it is the courage to walk away from the things that don't serve you anymore and to say, no, this is what I want to do.
What have you walked away from? Would you care? It's very personal, but would you care to share? Because I could tell when you sort of said that, I was like, yeah, there's something behind that. So
I feel I've walked away from situations that don't serve me anymore, and I'm very fierce about my time and my energy. So if somebody says, oh, let's have lunch tomorrow? No, I can't have lunch tomorrow. And I'm sorry, I can't. My next availability is 2 weeks from now, because that's the next availability I have. So the power of no comes with so much joy, I would say, because
joy, yeah.
Because it makes space for something which serves you, you know, which helps you grow, which takes you to the next step. When you say no, you say yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That's really cool. So that's two. That was one.
Yeah.
1 out of 3. So the first one is have the courage to walk away from things that don't serve you.
Yeah, have the courage.
Second one,
or have the courage to do things that
have
serve
the balls.
you.
Have the balls. Have the balls to follow your dreams.
Yeah.
Or actually have the balls to realize at points in your life it's okay to start again.
Yeah, to start again. It's never too late.
It is
really
never too late.
Too late.
You know, it can be painful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To start again. You know, I found that out myself. But if the heart is going, you know, you're going to regret this.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I've always loved the statement: rather regret the fact that you did it than regret the fact that you didn't
do it.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So number 2,
which comes to the number 2 point very easily: take risks.
Okay.
No risk, no gain. As simple as that. You got to take risks. You got to take chances. You know, I don't know. Ask that girl out. Start that business. Run that marathon. Eat the cake.
Eat the cake. Or don't eat the cake. Eat the cake, but wake up at 4 o'clock tomorrow and go to the gym.
Yeah, you got to take risks. Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, with risk taking, apart from saying maybe obvious stuff like I've started a business and stuff like that, what other huge risks have you taken? You know,
I would say traveling the world. I spent a lot of money. I spent all my savings in traveling the world, and I absolutely have zero regrets about it. I mean, I could have had a very healthy bank balance by now if I didn't spend, you know, all my money traveling to the 51 countries that I've done so far.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of countries.
Depends on perception. I just think I'm just getting started.
Okay.
So.
Where have you not been that you really want to go?
Oh, there are a few countries that I've not been to. Japan, Peru.
Everyone's going to Japan at the moment.
Yeah.
This is something that I'm going to point to you. So Iman says, everyone on my feed is going to Japan. My very close friend just went to Japan. Like, what do you think it is about Japan that everyone wants to go? Is it trending? Not that I know what that word is.
It's cherry blossom season now, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. One of the reasons.
They do great food.
Yeah, you know what I mean? and great food, absolutely. But I generally think they have a really good culture as well. You know, they work more than the rest of the world, and they're so respectful, and they just seem like a really nice people.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure we don't offend. You're lovely. You know what I mean? So have balls to do things that you want to do. Take risks.
Yeah.
So what's the number one? I love this. The number one thing, you know.
Stay consistent in what you're doing. A lot of people just give up on things. They go to the gym 7 days and then they'll never go to the gym ever again. You know, they're like, oh, you know, then they get lazy, or again, or they start a diet. like, yeah, I'm going to get healthy, January 1st is
Of course.
it's a very popular time. And then just don't like follow through, or they start a business and it doesn't do well in like 6 months or a year, and then they just give up, and I just feel that doesn't work. You just have to be relentless, have grit, be consistent in what you're doing. Even if it's like posting on social media, right? Just be consistent. Like, so you're not going to get 100 likes, in the first, if you're just starting off posting. But yeah, if you follow the steps, you follow the right strategy, you will get to where you need to be. So consistency over everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I've had a lovely time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I loved our chat.
Yeah. Long form podcasts a great buzz for me. Because you really get to see people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I really enjoyed this. Thank you very
Nehha,
much.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you. Same to you, Sam.
Thank you.